Hello, I'm Malcolm Haslett. Our very special guest on this episode is actor, pianist, teacher, theatre director, and theatre reviewer Barry Hill. Hello and welcome to this episode of OurTime. This man I've known for quite some time, and I've also known all of the different tangents of his career. And there are many. And this is Barry Hill.
Good
Afternoon, evening, morning, whenever
whatever
this
it
goes
is.
to air.
Hello, Malcolm.
Hello, it's lovely to see you. Barry, what's interesting about you is the many facets of your life and career. So let's start at the very beginning because...
It's a very good place to start.
See, you always know an old show man. And it is. How did you, what possessed you to get into show business as a performer?
Very unusual. My next door neighbour, Josie Eates, when I was in Grange, living there, this was 1969. She worked with the Gilbert and Sullivan, Henley Beach Methodist Gilbert and Sullivan Society.
Good gracious.
And used to hear her warbling away. And she said, "We need more men's chorus." And I said, "Oh, no. Because I was very shy and a stutterer. And
now that's interesting because we were talking about that before. And I said to you when we were talking about doing the interview, a great friend of both of us, Wally Carr.
Yes.
He had that problem as a young man, and he found that singing helped him control what he was doing.
It's all about breath control. Yes, breath control. And I've never started on stage.
Well, that's amazing, isn't it? But there weren't the speech pathologists and therapists in those days.
No. So this poor little callow 15-and-a-half-year-old boy set off, and that was the beginning. And then I went on from there.
But you also went on to play piano and become a primary school teacher.
I did, yes. I started piano at the age of 11, and then I was taught, and I don't think you know this, I was taught at Western Teachers College by the legendary, who's still with us, Diana Harris, who I still see, and we still have wonderful, wonderful memories of learning to play. And she's saying to me, no, that's all wrong. You didn't listen to the flautist breathe. And it was fantastic. She's a miracle.
It's interesting how much there is in everything we do.
Oh, yes.
And the more we learn, the more we realise we've still got to learn.
Exactly.
So with the primary school teaching, the difficulty, I suppose 20, 30 years ago, is there weren't many male primary school teachers. It seemed to be a female domain.
It was, I think...
As rare as hen's teeth would probably be the expression.
I think when I graduated that year from Western Teachers College, there were 2 of us.
Right.
In primary.
Right.
Yeah, hen's teeth.
Why do you think that is? Is it because people don't think that men can relate well with children?
I think it's a number of reasons. I think that for a long while, traditionally, it was believed that teaching was a woman's province, particularly in primary school, and that high school was a men's province, or year 6, 7.
Right.
But then there's also the sort of slightly yucky idea that if a parent or any member of the school community had a set against you, they could say anything they like and you might be dismissed.
Sadly, that is a problem. We're all very conscious of the pedophilia in the world at the moment, and it's the forefront in so many areas of people we trust. But there are also an enormous amount of genuine people that really love helping children discover the world.
And as I was saying to you earlier today, there's a rule now that we can only touch children on their shoulders. And so if you've got a 5 or 6-year-old crying in the yard, you really can't physically comfort them. And now with COVID,
well, even worse.
Even worse.
Yeah,
so
even worse.
These poor little guys, and every now and again, look, we're on air, I'll say it, we break the rules out of duty of care.
Yeah. Actually, that's a really interesting point. Where does duty of care cut off when it is a situation like that?
If the child is hysterical and needs comfort, then I feel they deserve comfort, to be honest with you.
We can't all stand behind glass walls. Really.
No.
We're human.
No, we're human.
Well, moving on with that though, your career in show, we've got some shots of you
Oh,
in
yes.
various characters. And I love character shots because, like you, I love playing characters
And I'm a character actor, yes.
because we can play so many roles and not be
Exactly.
us. It's
Exactly.
wonderful. Let's have a look at some photos of Barry as a cat,
From Cats.
strangely enough.
Gus the theatre cat.
Yes. Of course, being on the left, I think you look wonderful.
I do, look at that. I've always thought, Malcolm, that Cats is... people either like it or they don't, but I also feel that the ending is wrong. At the end, Grisabella goes to cat heaven, but Gus has actually been around longer.
Yes.
So he should have gone. So I think probably in Cats 2 on ice, Gus will actually get to go
I
to
love
heaven.
that. Now, I'm looking for you in this photo, Barry.
Oh, well, I'm right in the middle.
Over the B, are you?
Yes.
And when did this transformation and what was it in take
This
place?
was Puss in Boots in 2018.
Oh, goodness me.
And I know that playing a dame in pantomime is dear to your heart and my heart.
Yes.
So I was the queen, and she wasn't, as you can see, she's incredibly glamorous, incredibly svelte, and
Yes.
incredibly
And
subtle.
diverse as an actor, I'd say. Diversity.
Yes,
And the
yes.
next one?
This is
From that to that.
This is Mr. Murdoch in Brigadoon, the old man that
Oh,
tells
right.
the story of Brigadoon,
Yes.
where you have to have a really good Scottish accent, which
You
was...
had to lose your hair for this character,
I
can see.
did. I actually grew it, but we won't go there. But all that colouring of white. This is one of the Reps melodramas.
I love that.
So I grew sort of half my moustache, and the rest is painted on,
As we can all do.
as we can all do.
And this one.
This is my favourite Gilbert and Sullivan opera that I've either directed or performed.
Isn't it that one?
No, it's When I Was a Lad, I Served at Home. This is Sir
yes,
Joseph
that one.
Porter from HMS Pinafore.
Right.
Very up
And you
himself.
grew your hair for that one.
Yes, all. And it was beautifully white.
Brilliant. Isn't it great, though, to have these memories?
Oh, it's great.
The sad thing about that type of theatre, though, is you don't have the movie memories or the video memories, because a lot of these shows you're not allowed to take a copy of. You wouldn't have done that.
No,
of course not.
No, I don't have any of those. No,
No, of course not.
No.
But it's true. A lot of these things now, because of copyright,
That's right.
you
yeah.
can't have the memory apart from a photo,
No.
which is a bit sad for a lot of people in these times, because being able to share the moving pictures
It doesn't really bring it back appropriately. A photograph. No, not for
doesn't
me.
really, because it's just that moment in time where you can have many moments.
Or you don't sit there and go, oh, God, did I do that?
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I know. So, with all of the work you've done, have you ever counted up the characters you've played?
No. However, I know I would be approaching 50 musicals and 200 plays, probably, something like that.
So people always say, how do you remember all the lines? Do
You
have
don't
a
always.
method?
You don't always.
Oh, you don't?
In
You're
pantomime,
talking me, the ad-lib person. Don't work with me. You never
Malcolm,
know what I'll say.
we all know in pantomime that if you get stuck, it's easy to get out.
Yes, that is.
Not in a play.
But not in a book show.
No, there are ways. Everyone has their own ways. I record my lines and the line before mine in a different voice, and
Oh, okay, in a different voice.
yeah, and I walk around, and once I can do the housework and do the lines at the same time, I figure I'm there.
Are you still teaching?
Yes, I'm a relief teacher.
Right. So you don't have to work all the time, and so when you
No.
go to work, it's great.
Yes, it's great.
It's great. It's still great.
Yes, I teach reception to Year 7. I specialise in music drama, and if I do teach drama, the kids are very, very excited.
Well, they would be, because
Yeah.
you've been all that experience as a theatre director.
Well, I taught for you.
Yes, you did. in
I
fact.
did,
Yes,
yeah.
I know. That's why I said we knew each other for
That's
quite
right.
a long time. In a minute, we're going to talk about, though, your, in a way, new life as a reviewer, because so much has changed. The newspapers don't print reviews of shows.
No.
So how do people know whether they're good, bad, indifferent, or, because you're not a critique or
A critic.
a critic,
We're reviewers.
you're reviewers, and
Yes.
there is a real difference between the two.
There is.
Because your reviews explain what the pieces are about and so on.
Mm.
So we'll be back in a moment to talk to Barry about that very subject. very special guest on this episode of Our Time is actor, theatre director, reviewer, pianist, primary school teacher, and even more, Barry Hill. We're just going to talk about reviewing, Barry, because
Sure.
in the past there have been the New York critics, the London critics, people who have literally ripped shows to shreds and murdered them, really, because they've died afterwards. But you don't do that.
No, I don't feel that's my job. I feel my job is to do quite a considerable amount of research, if possible, first, and then go and see the play with a very open mind. I mean, every reviewer has some genre of theatre that they may not appreciate, but that doesn't matter. You're not there to further your own genres. You're there to be objective. And so we go along, and our object is to look at the play or look at the production,
Yes.
and highlight the parts that we think, and we listen to the audience. It's not just us, let's be honest. Highlight the parts that are done particularly well, and if we do make a negative comment, either qualify it or make a suggestion how we think it could have been improved.
Well, it's constructive criticism,
Correct.
which we all thrive on.
That's
Otherwise,
right.
we won't get any better.
That's right.
But what I find interesting is what you just said about it may not be your favourite piece, and that you listen to the audience. I mean, that's every actor's job to do as well, to
yes.
understand what's coming back to you, because it's a two-way street with live theatre.
It is.
Unlike being on television here, we don't have the opportunity to see what you say. You could have your feet up in slippers, or you could be sucking on a drink of something, having a cup of tea or coffee, or oh, look at him or look at them. But in the theatre, everybody's sort of quiet and well behaved. But there is definitely a feeling, isn't there?
Oh, there
it's
is.
that human spirit feeling that permeates the room.
Particularly in a drama, when you get that, and I know when I played Gus the theatre cat, and it sounds odd to an audience or to someone that's not in theatre when you say, I knew I was made, because when I did the song, there was nothing. It was still. There was no rustling, there was no chewing, there was no coughing. And then you think, I've got them. Yeah. And as an audience member, when you sit there and you, as a reviewer, and you experience that, you think, right.
It's a tingle down your spine.
It is. And you think they're doing it right.
It's a funny thing, though, isn't it? I mean, the understanding of people being up there skipping to music, as we say jokingly, or crying in their armpits. You sort of think, why on earth are people attracted to watch somebody in a deep drama having a terrible time, or skipping to music in a fancy dress sort of thing? What do you think is the appeal for that, for an audience?
What's the appeal? Because they get lost in their everyday life. They don't have to be, I don't have to be Barry Hill. I can live vicariously through the character.
And also for the point of view of the audience, how do you feel they're seeing this?
Well, that's largely what I meant. I can step out, I can forget that I'm sitting there writing in the dark, and just become absorbed.
Now that's interesting, writing in the dark. Is that what you do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do. And then I try and decipher it when I get home.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, audiences, when we see these things, audiences are interesting because within the first 10, 15 minutes, most performers have sort of worked out where they've got to push the character, or, you've got to get more energy into what you're doing or whatever to get that reaction you're looking for. But in your reviews, because of the way that you construct them, we sort of get a genuine audience perspective of that.
Oh,
That's really very valuable, I think, to the performers, the ongoingness of the piece. Did you go to any sort of lengths to understand how to do this better, or is it just that you've got that mind that you understand?
That's a great question. I think I write like that because I am an actor and I know what I would like to read.
And you've sat in an audience.
And I've sat in an audience.
How many shows do you think you've seen?
Oh, Malcolm.
The Fringe here in
don't
South
know.
Australia, you must go crazy from one
I
show
do.
to the
I
next.
see about 14 shows.
We've talked to several people in your position about doing this, and everybody has sort of similar thoughts on what they're doing, but everyone is quite different. But do you get a real burnout that you feel, I don't know what I'm going to say about this show?
Sometimes you do, yes. Sometimes you do. And then if you get burnout, you need to step away, go and do something else.
So
And
you
come back.
see now an average of 2 shows a week?
Yes. Or a bit tricky in COVID times, but yes.
Oh, well, yes, of course.
I've
Of
been
late,
reviewing
it's
some
been
online things by different companies.
reviewing the online work.
Yes, but now, of course, theatre's slowly, thanks to people like yourself, is starting to re-emerge and we can go back to the theatre. Yay.
Just feeling sorry for the people in Victoria.
Oh,
There must have been one of the most difficult times for them.
yes.
And also, of course, for the performers. And we should talk about the performers too, because they've been locked away at home for all this time,
It's been horrible.
unable to let go of all the built-up energy that you want to do as a performer.
And I think it's going to be hard to come back. I think while drama will come back relatively easily, excuse me, I think comedy will take a little, and musicals will take a bit longer. Musicals because they have a bigger budget. Comedy because you rely on a certain feeling in the audience, and with not a complete audience, that's going to be hard to generate.
Working to half houses is
Yeah,
difficult.
because it's hard.
That's here in South Australia,
Yeah.
half houses.
Because you're waiting for the audience to start bubbling, and if there's not enough of them, they won't bubble. If you know what I mean, they won't start.
Well, it's like television watchers, they don't want that movement that happens that we're talking about before, that emotion that seems to ripple through an audience.
Yes,
When somebody starts to laugh, you start to laugh
That's
with
right.
them, and that all works together. But also when somebody starts to cry and you feel that emotion ripple through the audience if you're in an audience.
yeah.
What have been your favourite things over the time you've been reviewing, without ticking them off? Well, that was the best, that was the worst. But what have been your favourite things that you've seen?
Oh,
Usually there's a standout. There's something. Gee, that was amazing. I wouldn't mind doing that myself. Or
Yoko Watanabe playing Madame Butterfly in State Opera's production of Butterfly many years ago. She's unfortunately passed now with breast cancer, which was very sad. She was. Joe McWaters, a friend of mine, recently played it. It was brilliant. But Yoko, well, I had 5 good cries, which is my challenge for Butterfly, not to cry.
right.
The recent production of Sleeping Beauty by the Australian Ballet Company, which was absolutely
Exquisite.
stunning.
Is that the word?
Oh, exquisite is the word. Exquisite is the word. And then occasionally you get to, I'm just trying to think of a play that really, oh, yes, I know. The Goat, or Who Killed Sylvia, last year.
All right.
With the Theatre Guild at the Little Theatre. A mind-bending piece of play. Mind-bending. And I just came away rapt.
When you were a little boy, did you think at any time that you would have this career that you've had?
No. My father wanted a football-playing, tennis-playing son. He didn't get one. It would cost him 6 Mickey Mouse comics to get me to the football.
I've never heard that used before.
And it never
6
happened.
Mickey Mouse comics.
Well, I sat there and read. I didn't watch the football.
Yeah.
Plus, he barracked for South Adelaide and they always lost. So there was no point.
Actually, I think it's such a valid point you just made, though. In our world of show business and the things that we're all involved with, so often I hear young boys or young families bringing their children along to us, saying, this young lad doesn't really want to play football, not interested in sport, keeps saying he wants to be an actor or a singer or a dancer or whatever. And we really don't know what to do with him because we don't come from that world. So we really don't know where to go, what to do, and so on. And you try and reassure people that in life, all of us have got to find our tribe.
That's right. Yeah. And look, many years ago, I directed Hugh Sheridan in Once Upon a Mattress when he was 14.
There you go.
He's found his tribe.
He did.
Reese Bobridge from
Reese, yep.
who's gone on to great things. So
Yep.
they've all found their tribe.
Yes, I was talking to one of the mums from one of the boys that's done extremely well around the world that used to be part of us, and it's with great pride that you know that you actually
Yes.
gave the kids the opportunity to find what it was they wanted in life.
Exactly.
And do you think that's an important thing? I know that's a fairly easy question to answer, but in our world today, the need for this sort of expression, do you feel it's more than it used to be? Or
I feel it's
are we accepting it more?
We are, but I still feel we could do better. In a country that, and I'll get shot by this, a country that idolises sport, where all boys are expected to love sport or play a sport. All boys are not going to do that. I didn't do that.
No, but it's the same. All girls aren't going to want to be fairy ballet dancers either.
So it's important to provide opportunities
for everybody,
for everyone to fulfil their potential,
and not to be afraid of your kids not to be afraid of their choices in life.
That's right.
I agree. Back with some more scintillating conversation in just a moment. Welcome back to Our Time and our special guest, Barry Hill. Barry, some of the people that you've met that you've really idolised or revered over the years?
Many. I'll give you the highlights, I think. After I left the Henry Beach Methodist and Gilbert and Sullivan Society.
When you were 15?
When I was 15, yes. I went to the Q Theatre with the legendary and wonderful and divine Betty Quinn. And she is the one who started me directing. She said, "Oh, darling, I think you could direct." I said, "Oh, I don't think so."
So you must have seen this in people yourself, though, in your life. You know, people that have that.
Yes.
Whether it's a command or whether it's a
yes.
foresight of something. You know,
yes.
What is it? Do you think? What makes somebody? I mean, you must have done this yourself. What are you looking for in somebody, or you're not looking at all and it just hits you in the face?
You mean if they're going to be a director?
Yeah.
Their ability to work with other people and to have a vision. Directors are people who have
Betty
visions,
Quinn, she was a great writer.
Yes, and a visionary. John Edmund, very dear friend and great person, but the most important was June Bronhill.
Right. Yes, I know you had a connection.
I directed her in La Vie Parisienne and then became her constant friend for many years.
Do you think it's a shame also in this country that we know so little about the performers who've gone before, who've affected the industry enormously, but when they've passed, quite often their memory is forgotten. We don't seem to have a good history understanding.
No, we don't. And poor June died in, I won't go into the details.
Well, in not a great
situation.
Yeah.
But
as many of the greats, when you look at some of the theatre owners, you know, they've died intestate.
Yes.
Some of the great performers have just, in the expression, faded away. But you sort of feel, what a shame that their history hasn't been recorded. And the need to do that, the need to preserve that while we're all alive.
Well, my theatre mum is doing that. My mum passed 7 years ago. So my theatre mum is L'Oreal Quinn, aka L'Oreal Smart.
L'Oreal Smart.
And she's, what is Laurie now? She's 94, 95?
49, I'm dyslexic.
Oh, probably.
That's better. Yeah.
And she's writing her memoirs.
Brilliant.
Called Outrageous Fortune. She's up to me now. So I told her she's not to die yet until she's finished every chapter on me.
Well, interestingly enough, in our next program, we're talking to Vicky Arnold about Chick Arnold.
Oh, yes.
Chick was a great vaudeville performer, both here in Australia and overseas. I've been given the sign that we have to say goodbye. Thank you for joining us on Our Time this time. Keep yourself nice till next time we meet. Time on Our Time, we're talking to Vicky Arnold and we're also talking to Mark Gauci. Vicky, we're talking about your dad.
Dad was a famous vaudevillian. His name's Chick Arnold. So it's a wide archive of his life for 40 years in showbiz.
And Mark, we're talking about the greening of your area.
And how incredibly it can help. Just a small bit of land can bring a community together.
That's next time on Our Time. Just Need You.